morning, October 7th, 2020. This is Terry Allen, Radical Progressive. I'm watching a few videos this morning. The Assange trial, the election. There was a political article about how 92 million Americans that are eligible to vote do not. And they were wondering why. The thing is, people like me and all of the progressives on YouTube, we know why. Because Biden says nothing fundamentally will change when he's speaking before the bankers. And that's why you've got Wall Street, the military-industrial complex, and Hollywood all running to the feet of Biden and Harris. Just a small fraction of that could turn the election one way or another. But you have that many people in America that figure, what's the point? What's the use? And they're right. What is the use? I may end up being one of those 92 million, at least for the voting for the president. There's just no good choices. And we're running into a crossroads of which direction this country is going to go in. If you look at the Assange trial and what he's being charged with and how he's being treated and how his defense team is being treated, it's a kangaroo trial. It's a joke. There's no integrity. The defense team is not allowed to cross-examine the witnesses for the prosecution, but the prosecution can cross-examine the witnesses for Assange. He is kept in a plexiglass box at the back of the courtroom. He is being held in detention during this trial in one of the most dangerous prisons in England, where they keep terrorists. So there you go. There's your First Amendment, because yes, he's not a citizen of the United States. However, there is a law that if he is tried under U.S. law, then he has all of the rights as a U.S. citizen, which is the First Amendment. He is a publisher. He published classified information, yes, about what? War crimes, torture, killing of civilians, what was going on in Iraq. It's out of control. But what happens? The government, because he has unveiled this hideous, this empire, disgusting empire, with their foot on the neck of the Middle East. This empire that's crumbling and lashing out. So instead of going after the war criminals and the ones that ordered the torture, the killing of civilians, siege warfare, carpet bombing, the use of depleted uranium-tipped bombs, instead of going after these people, we go after the messenger and the whistleblowers. Doesn't that tell you something Don't you see what's going on? Is that American? Is that democracy? What gives these people the right, these scumbags, the right to cover up their illegal and war criminal operations and try the whistleblowers and the journalists? What right do they have? And American people go along with this? Chris Hedges has a show called On Contact on RT, and basically what he said was that since he's been doing programs about Assange and this kangaroo trial, the Twitter and the Facebook and the Google algorithms have been sending about 10% of what he was getting before. He was getting sometimes 30,000 viewers that were directed to his website, which now have dropped down to about 20 to 30,000. It's algorithms. It's done intentionally. It's called censorship. It's done intentionally to keep the American population uninformed about what is going on. He had another reporter on his show, Mr. Murphy. I can't remember his first name, and I'm sorry, but it's On Contact show that aired today, this morning. What's going on in this trial is so dangerous. And where is the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC and Fox? Where are all of these corporate media hacks? They're not talking about it because they know they won't be indicted for anything, because they're not going to threaten the survival of the deep state and the military-industrial complex. So they don't give a shit what happens to Assange, because they do the bidding of the 1%, the corporations that actually own the media outlets. You have 5 companies in this country that own all of the media. 5. And every one of these 5 corporations is huge. And they control what we see, what we hear, what we learn, what we know, what we think we know. It's propaganda. But in America, Americans just don't understand the mentality of a psychopath, a sociopath. They don't understand that these people that run these operations in the military, they are psychopaths. And what does a psychopath do? Kills indiscriminately. They don't have any empathy. They don't care about their victims. They will do whatever they have to do to get their way. And that's most billionaires fall into that category. Military-industrial complex, people in the Trump administration, people behind Biden as well, Wall Street bankers. A very high percentage of psychopaths and sociopaths in positions of power. One reason is, how do they get in power? Crushing people, committing voter fraud, killing their opposition. This could be the end of the First Amendment. People like me, people like Jimmy Dore and Kyle Klinsky and Chris Hedges, anybody with a voice. My voice is not very loud. I should have started these videos a long time ago. But I was going through some problems and issues, dealing with things. I just couldn't focus on it. But I'm back. and I am angry. And I have little power, except I can spread the word to a few subscribers and viewers, and if I just get to one person that can make a difference, then I've made a difference. These 92 million people that don't vote because they figure, what's the point? And also, one of the other factors is they tend to be all in poverty. Many of them are in positions of poverty, and they literally can't take off a Tuesday and lose pay to go vote. And then they'll be on a jury list, which is also a joke, because the court system in this country has a policy of justice for the rich. If you are part of the 1%, super rich, you have a really good chance of not even being indicted or investigated. Wall Street bankers that stole trillions of dollars from the American population, destroyed lives, foreclosed on homes, destroyed businesses. And then I talk to yahoos that think that these businesses that failed were because they were run by incompetent business people. No, it was entrepreneurs, people that didn't have a lot of money to withstand the storm of an economic downturn, an economic crash, essentially. So if the United States government and the military commit war crimes, which is proven, they have been committing war crimes, I think that if you apply the Nuremberg rules, everyone since Kennedy would be considered a war criminal. Even Truman could be considered a war criminal because of the okaying of the two nuclear weapons that were dropped on Japan. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're the only country that's ever dropped a nuclear weapon on anyone. And we have the hypocrisy, the self-righteous indignation for others to have nuclear weapons, which is proven to be a very effective defense against attack. We don't attack Russia or China or Israel, North Korea, because they got nuclear weapons. And even if they lose, they can still do some major damage before they go out fighting. This is really, really sick what's going on. I don't even recognize this country anymore. And I am sick to my stomach hearing people tell me that if I criticize my government and the military, that I'm somehow I'm not patriotic, or I'm a communist, or a socialist. How dare these people judge me for my voice? These people their heads are full of shit because they've been listening to major media outlets which have an agenda, which are owned by the super rich, have an agenda to promote the policies that keep the super rich and in power. Don't you see how this works, for God's sake? God almighty, you watch this stuff. If you know anything about history, if you know anything about science, about democracy around the world, and you can't see what's going on in this country, and listening to the BS that comes out of Fox and CNN and MSNBC and other media outlets that are controlled by this cabal of evil, satanic, pedophile scumbags, because that's what they are. Why do you think they're not going after the Epstein case? Well, they're trying to bury it, because they're all guilty conspirators, co-conspirators. But in that trial, 2005, I believe it was, where Epstein was given an 18-month work release sentence and only served 13 months. That is an abomination. That was done behind closed doors. The victims were never told. Unbelievable. It's just mind-boggling. It's staggering. And you don't have an outcry from the population? Wow. The problem in this country is that people are ignorant. They're uneducated. They have been beaten over the head for years with propaganda and garbage, brainwashing. So I suppose, what should we expect, really? What should we expect? Well, we're about ready to lose our First Amendment rights. Okay, is everybody ready for that? So if you speak out against the government or the military, you're going to be rounded up and arrested. What is that called? What did they do in Nazi Germany? What have they done in these different totalitarian countries? And we have the hypocritical, self-righteous indignation to condemn these other countries for what we are doing. Wow. Well, if I disappear and stop making YouTube videos, you can know that I was abducted, probably shot and killed, and I'm a small voice, but that's how these things work. Start seeing real reporters disappearing, that's what you've got, and it's only going to get worse. We have a chance now to stop this, but we don't have much time. We need to build a third party in this country as fast as we can. And we need to get people to jump ship from the corrupt, evil Democratic and Republican parties before they give everything to the 1% and the rest of us are treated like serfs. Well, I'm just going to leave you with these thoughts. Is this the kind of country you want to live in? Is this the kind of country that you want to defend? Is this the kind of country that you want to be a patriot for? Wave the American flag around? Is that what you want for war criminals and torturers, out of control psychopaths and the 1% that run this country? Is that what you want to defend? Do you want to go to war for that? My son is in the military. He's in the Army in Fort Hood. He joined because he wants to get college paid for. So he's not saddled with a huge amount of debt. And he said that the military is full of people that were unemployed that couldn't get jobs. That's who's fighting our wars. Okay? So if that's what you want, that's the country that you want to live in, then you keep doing exactly what you're doing. Because that's what you're going to get. So you know what? I'm done. I am done. I've got to go. Take care, everyone. Bye. Terry Allen, Radical Progressive, signing off.